Going to start with the goal, Ryan. I mean, for what you've been through this season, the frustration, what does something like that mean?
I think it's massive, for just player confidence. Like you said, being out for 3 months, it's been a graft. It's been difficult getting fitness and stuff back up, and my season's been so stop-start. It's been difficult, but to come back and get a return like that in front of the away fans on such a long journey, it was massive. And more importantly, we got the 3 points out of it, which put us in good stead.
And it came from exactly what Paul talks about that he wants you guys to do, a really high press that gets pressure on the opposition, and all of a sudden we've got a set piece that's so crucial to the whole game.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time people don't look into the way we do stuff on the pitch, but the gaffer does. The gaffer analyses absolutely everything, and he can pick out people's weaknesses. And we found that a high press and pressing them high up the pitch was going to be effective for us. And like you say, we get the set piece from a mistake. So we force them into a mistake. We get the set piece, and Mox has put in a worldie ball, which someone had to get on the end of, and just happily it was me.
Credit to him, because I'm sure you guys, as much as we were in the stands, were saying, "Oh, come on, Mox," when he put that one on the roof of the net.
Yeah, I think everyone can see from Mox's standards this year, it's not like him. So it's massive for him that to grab himself, and put another ball in like that, because the composure it takes in the last kick of the game is massive. And for a striker to have a centre mid like that can put a ball in is an absolute dream. So credit to him, and credit to the lads as well.
I don't think it was an accident, Ryan, that there was two or three of you at that back post. It looked like that was something that you targeted.
Yeah, so we'd gone through their set pieces and stuff all week, and we thought that was a massive area that we could exploit. And being on the bench, you could see the whole game that no one was marking the back post. I think there was one in the first half where Morgs, Garns, and I think someone else ended up going for the same ball, and it was just a bit of a messy one. So when it came to it, even John Mellis tried telling me to go to the front post at the end, and I was like, yeah, that's not happening. Like, not a chance. And yeah, so I've just peeled off at the back post. No one stayed with me, and fortunately for me, I've put it in the back of the net.
The fans are going mad, and it's happened right in front of them. That must be brilliant for the players.
Yeah, I think on such a long journey as well. Down to Swindon's, it's not half an hour down the road. It's a good long day out, and I think for us to give them that happiness to go back with was just something special for us. I know our changing room was bouncing after, so I'm sure whatever coaches, trains they were on, they were having a good time.
Sixth of the season, and for the frustrating season you've had, that's a great return. So that tells us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, I always said at the start of the season, I wanted to aim for at least double figures. If I had double figures in my first full competitive season with the club, then I'd be very happy. I'm still hoping to get towards that, but like you said, I've had such a stop-start season where injuries have hindered me, things like that. The stupid red cards, but that happens as a player, and you've got to overcome it. And yeah, I think having 6 goals for the season that I've had, I'm reasonably happy, but I'm still aiming for the double figure mark.
All 6 have been with your head.
Yeah. Well, my dad's always told me, you are an old classic number 9 that you don't really see anymore. You find these small nippy little number 9s that are so good with their feet, and you don't really see many people using their head anymore. I think it's a bit of a dying breed, the old classic number 9. So I'm happy to fulfil that role and keep getting me headaches. That's perfectly fine by me.
What it tells us is that the lads who are left and right putting the ball in, they're confident somebody will be there, and you're confident that the ball's going to come. So that's the flip side of that. Is that the way we're playing at the moment? Do you all just know what you're doing?
Yeah, I think the way that we are at the minute, everyone knows each other's role. And I think, if people see me on the pitch, they're just going to put the ball into the box. It's the same with Garns. Garns has made an absolute killing out of it. His career's been so successful just because he's a box predator. He just lives in the box, and he feeds off balls coming into the box. So, whenever they see us on the pitch, I think especially Jack Armour, Owen Moxon, they're probably 2 of my biggest suppliers this year. As soon as they see me in the box, I'm going to be there at some point. And I'm more than confident one's going to land, and when it does, it's going to be in the back of the net. So, it's good to understand those relationships with each other.
You mentioned him there, Joe Garner. Having played with him at Fleetwood, you knew what he was all about. What was it like watching him coming in, knowing that Well, I know this guy. I know how good he is. I've got competition. Another player who's a competition for my place.
Yeah, as much as I love Garns and he's an unbelievable guy, to have another strikers coming in is always frustrating. But I think it's really good for the club. It's so good for the lads to have him around. I know that from experience. He's just such a laugh. He brings the dressing room up. He have good banter with people. But you've also seen him from performances. He's an unbelievable player. His talent's just daft. And I've learned so much from him being at other clubs as well. So I'm happy that I can just learn more from him being here. I think it'll help us out a lot. Of course, I'll do whatever I can to keep him out of the team. But if he gets in the team, it's not a bad thing either. Because he will help this club. He will get goals for this club, and he'll help us be successful.
You're not just talking for the sake of it there, Ryan. I know that the manager's spoken about this. When you're not in the side, I know you are frustrated if you're available, but everybody's backing each other up if they're selected as well.
Yeah, of course. That's the way you've got to be. I think the position we're in, no one expected it. And I think the morale that we've got as a club at the minute is just something I've never seen before. Like you say, even if you're not selected, as soon as you walk out of that meeting room and you see whoever's in your position, you're telling them, go smash it. That's the first thing you're doing. You tell them to go smash it, go grab goals. If it's Deno playing, you tell them to do your thing. That's a message I give to everyone before every time I'm in the changing room and I'm not in the squad. Every time I was injured, it being in the dressing room before they went out, saying, go do your thing, go do what you do. And that's all the lads have continued to do this season, so I'm sure we'll carry on that way.
You're demanding from each other as well. There isn't a complacency. You want better from each other. Does that come from the manager, or is that from you guys yourselves?
I think it's both. I think the manager just relay it on to us. Of course he does, because he knows everyone's quality within this squad, and from me knowing the gaffer, he'll demand that from you, and if you don't get it, he'll tell you. But the lads know how good we all are. We know each other's qualities. We know how good we can be. So if we're not meeting that standard, whether that's on a Saturday or a Tuesday afternoon, even training, we will tell each other. And I think it's not to a point where you're having a go at someone, and no one takes it personally in football. That's the way it is. You've always got to know it's not personal, but we will tell each other. So I think it's really healthy what we've got going on.
Recent interviews with Callum, Mox, Thomas, that off the top of my head, everybody's giving us the same message. Nobody wants to let Paul Simpson down. What is it about this manager that brings that to the dressing room?
It is a difficult one, because you don't really know what it is, but there's just something about the gaffer you will just do anything for. If he asks you to run through a brick wall, you're doing it. And I think it's a credit to him the way he goes about with the squad, because he doesn't let anyone down. He's a transparent manager. He always has been. So if there's something to say, he'll say it. And I think that's what players respect most. He doesn't beat around the bush, and he will just tell you straight. Even he's told me, and sometimes in training, you've not been good enough. I don't care that you're my number 9. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And it does make you pick up your standards. I think the position we're in and the amount of games we've got to go, we can't afford to slip. So I think having the gaffer around and demanding those standards, and us willing to fulfil those standards, we're on a good stead.
I'm not putting you on the spot for wild predictions here, but I think it's a question an interesting one. In terms of you yourself, you've seen promotion with Leeds, you've been part of promotion with Port Vale. Have we got that feeling that you've seen with those two clubs in this dressing room?
I think we've got one of the best feelings about the place that I've seen. We've got such a positivity about everyone. I think the relationships everyone has with each other is just something special. And I think we've continued to reiterate the messages. Don't see the end goal, just see the next step. As long as you can see the step in front of you and take that step, we'll keep going forward. So I think that's the message that everyone's kind of wanting to get across to each other, is just don't focus on the end goal. Don't think about summer. Just think about the next one that we've got in line.
It is. Everybody agrees this is a game that's played in the head as much as on the grass. You have to deal with the different pressures of being chased at the moment.
Yeah, of course. It's such a competitive league. If you look at the league table, I think there's about 6 points between second and 6th or something daft like that. So it is a very competitive league. I've known the league for a few years now, and it's hard to get out of. It's very hard to get out of, and unfortunately we did it last year through the playoffs. I'm hoping this year that I don't have to stay here that long and we get a bit more holiday, but you know, it's just, like I said, I think you've got to look at the next step. You know, the lads aren't looking at that end goal, like I've said before. There's a real positivity about it, and I think if we can go out and, you know, keep that mentality, then we're all good to go.
And that next step, it's a great philosophy. The next step for us now is Stevenage. 2 teams in the automatic promotion places. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, you know, this is what football is about. These head-to-head clashes at the top of the table, at the bottom of the table. I think it brings a lot of excitement, and, you know, I'm hoping that we can get everyone to Brunton Park on Saturday and, you know, help us over the line with it, because, you know, I think it'll be a special game. I think the more people we can have there to witness it, the better.
You've seen the campaigns, Edmo. What's it like for the players to know that the fans and the businesses and everybody, the local community, is backing what you're trying to do?
I think it's massive because, you know, in terms of time-wise, we don't spend a lot of time on a training pitch. You know, we spend a couple hours a day out there, you know, and then when you come off that pitch, you've got time to sit on your phone, social media, things like that. And just when you see little things like that and it enlightens you when you're at home, you know, you get a little bit of a smile when you're sat on the sofa with a cup of tea or something. And I think it is massive to your mentality. It is massive. I think probably more than the fans and businesses around here know, because, you know, they're not in our position. But when you do see stuff like that, you see people backing the club, you see people saying, I can't wait to get there Saturday, you know, it's going to be bouncing. It makes us even more raring to go for it. So, yeah.
I'm aware that I need to get you away for your prehab, but one last question. In terms of the backing that you get for the fans, in terms of what you're trying to achieve, what is it like to be part of something like this, knowing what the club's been through in such a recent, difficult period in the recent past?
I think it's brilliant. You know, the turnaround the club has made from, you know, playing against these last season. You know, I think I remember actually playing Port Vale. We had one on a Tuesday night up here. I think we won 3-1, I think it was. And I remember the fans jumping on their back, and I was just like, oof, I wouldn't like to play for that. But then when I came in this year, you know, it's completely different. It is completely different. I think even if we go 1-0 down in a game, the fans don't jump on you, they back you. I think that's what you need. You know, you need that pick-me-up. I think we respond to it. You know, every time we've gone down, we've shown fight to get back into a game. We've either scored in the next 5 minutes or we'll score at some point. I think we'll always back ourselves to score in a game. So, you know, I think just to have that feel about the place, you know, on the pitch, off the pitch, like in the starting 11, in the squad 18, you know, in the 10,000 that are at Brunton Park, you know, it's a special place. And, you know, I think if we can keep going the way that we are, we'll achieve something.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you.